INDYCAR Series. With live coverage of today's practice, this is INDYCAR Radio.
It's one of the best laps that we have in the calendar, but I mean, heading into turn 2, very high braking zone where you have actually 2 different lines. You can be like really tight, or you can be a bit wider and try and get a better exit. Then we head to like 3 and 4, which are really like medium to high speed corners, really fun. You can use both apexes. 5 and 6, I would say 6 is like a super special one, big compression. You're going up the hill and you need a lot of speed there to try and not lose too much lap time. Corkscrew, I mean, I would say it's the most iconic corner that we have in motorsport around the world. And it's tough, you cannot see anything. You can lose a lot of lap time, but it's tough to make some. And then you're heading to 9 and 10, super high speed corners. We barely brake for them. We just downshift for 10, and then you head to last corner. Really tricky, really low speed, but a good overtaking point to finish one of the best laps that we have around.
This is Mark Janes. That was Alex Palou taking you on a lap around WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, side of the Java House Grand Prix of Monterey. Davey Hamilton joins me now, and Davey, it's certainly not as easy as Alex Palou makes it sound.
Yeah, no, it sounds easy when you're talking about it, but then once to get out there and do it, it's a completely different animal. And one thing with this racetrack, 2.2 miles, or just a little over that, it like I said, the corkscrew is the most iconic turn on probably almost any facility we go to, but it's not the most difficult one, as he just mentioned about it. There's some really high commitment corners, including turn 5, turn 6, getting up to that corkscrew. But then after that, turns 9 and 10, as he said, not really even braking, just shifting down a little bit. And Mark, when you're inside these cars, the G-forces that you're feeling coming off that hill, it's amazing. So those are really high commitment corners right there. We see a lot of offs in those areas just because of, man, you're on the absolute edge of this racetrack trying to make lap time.
Couple of, let's see, a 40-minute session, then a couple of 12-minute sessions, giving everybody an opportunity to get those qualifying sims in. And, in preparation for this, Davey, I was listening to last year's race, which was won by Alex Palou. It was a good weekend for Colton Herta, who's a 2-time winner here all in all, although I think Colton feels like that one got away from him a bit last year. But a repave really helped the grip here. But one of the things that has an adverse effect on the grip is the fact that it gets dirty and it gets dusty. Yep. And a lot of that you can thank the drivers for because of all the offs that you have here, because these are really some high commit corners.
Yeah, they are very high commit, and this time of year, obviously it's really overcast. So you got that sea layer that comes in. It's very cool in the mornings, very cool in the afternoons. But right now, it's pure sunshine, and you're right. Once you slip off track, it's nothing but dirt. A lot of dirt, dust, comes onto that racetrack and does make it slick for the participants behind you, and you lose a lot of time. It's not like you just go off and right back on and don't lose much time. So it's key to keep all 4 onto this asphalt and don't go over that curbing. And we see it a lot. We see it happen a lot on this course. So that's what this first session is going to be all about. It's just really kind of finding your limits, seeing what your car baseline's like, just to make sure that it is doing what it's supposed to do, and just getting refamiliarized with this racetrack. Every time I come here, like I say, the first time going to that corkscrew, you think you're turning really sharp, but it's not sharp enough. I mean, it's really a tight corner up there. It's a first gear corner. You're really slowed down for it, so you want your braking bias to be really good for up there. Not a really handling corner because it's really super slow, but then once you get off that corkscrew, it's on the gas up to the gears through turns 9, 10, and then into that tight corner onto the front straightaway of 11.
You've got the Andretti hairpin. You've got the Ray Hall straight. You've got the Rainy curve. You also have the corkscrew. It's interesting to me, the corkscrew is such a unique characteristic to this racetrack. But truth be told, Davey, one time, I think in 30 years, there have been a memorable pass to the corkscrew, and that was Zanardi on Herta. But let's face it, there's been plenty of other memorable things happen elsewhere on this racetrack.
Yeah, no, there has been. There's been a lot of great action on this racetrack. And you go back, and I've watched that several times, and they play it every time we come back here, obviously. And Brian probably doesn't like it, and I can't say that I blame him when you lose a race on the very last lap in that corkscrew. But Alex threw a move. But in today's rules, I thought in today's rules would be, that's right, because he went off track limits. He went by Brian, but then he overshot the next corner, went all 4 off into the dirt and gravel, and then back on in front of Brian and held him off. Well, you can't go off track limits like that anymore. So more than likely that would be an illegal pass.
Davey mentioned that marine layer. It has long since passed, and it looks like nothing but blue skies and sunshine at Monterey. Let's get the specifics on that by welcoming in our Alex Wolf.
Oh, and Mark, it certainly is that. Just incredible conditions, sunshine, blue skies. As I look over towards the last turn of the track, turn 11, just see a wispiest of white clouds out there in the sky. Ambient temperature of 67 with the breeze. Almost feels like instead of being at a race and at the end of July, almost feels like I'm at a high school football game beginning part of October with that breeze and the ambient temperature of 67. But the sun beating down on this track. Track temperature is at 118 as we get this practice session underway.
NFL training camps are right around the corner. We know high school and college coaches are also scratching the itch and ready to get their season started. That all is just around the corner, but the focus on the here and now continues to be on racing. And Davey, I think you talk about the here and now. Maybe moving forward, we might see this 40-minute session actually reduced to about a 35 or 30-minute session, because there's a lot of tire management that goes on in this first 40-minute session.
That's exactly right. I mean, a lot of the drivers come in and just sit because of the tire allotment of 5 alternate sets, 5 primary sets that are given out this weekend. You have to manage your tires properly, and this session is just so long that they just could sit and wait. But there is one other thing, Mark. There's one other thing to think about at this particular race, and that is that they were nonstop we were in Toronto, Canada last weekend. These truck drivers and teams had to drive all the way to the West Coast and get here and then unload their cars and then really, rebuild their cars, get them ready for this weekend. And their teams like AJ Foyt having to completely rebuild the Ferrucci car is, a lot of work. So a lot of these teams are kind of doing system checks. They went through these cars. They haven't really had a chance to have them on racetrack since they've completely gone through them from Toronto. And so just taking a little bit of extra time to make sure everything's good. And, hey, thank God for great truck drivers. They had to put 2 in each truck to get out here in time all the way from Toronto last week to be here today. So a lot of work from these crews and teams and a lot of overtime going on here for sure.
1,500 Firestone Firehawks in all, 5 primary, 5 alternates, as Davey said. A new compound for the primaries. The grip and wear expected to decrease a bit. 5 alternates as well. A similar grip and wear to last year's tires. There has been one voice in the history of the NHL's San Jose Sharks. He is our good friend and a valued member of this radio network. Always joins us whenever we are on the West Coast. We'd love to see more, in fact, but we understand the responsibilities go with the San Jose Sharks, and we are happy to have with us, not too far from his home in California, Dan Rusanowski.
Always great to welcome up the INDYCAR crew and bring you to the West Coast Bureau of this entire radio network. And we've got great weather, we've got great drivers, and of course, the one thing that really isn't exactly dramatic is the fact that Alex Palou has just been so dominant this year, but he's been dominant at this race course too. So as we know, if he wins this and goes all the way through, and Pato O'Ward finishes no better than 25th, then Alex Palou only has to show up and park for the rest of the races. I think Pato O'Ward's got something to say about that, and several others. And, this is also a redemption race for several of the drivers, too. Graham Rahal had a nice little jump forward after some tough races in Toronto. He's feeling pretty confident about how this all works. And, of course, as you've been talking about, the conditions since the repave have changed the way that the tire strategy might work for this. And I think it's one of the dramatic things of the weekend.
Happy to have you with us, Dan. Look forward to your contributions throughout the course of the weekend and earlier today. Alex Wolf caught up with Rinus VeeKay, and he is still riding high, and understandably so, after a podium finish at Toronto. And Rinus VeeKay awfully excited about the season as a whole he's had with Dale Coyne.
Rinus on pit lane last Sunday. I saw the big celebration you guys had right after you got out of the car after that runner-up finish. What was it like a Sunday night and this week celebrating that fantastic result?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was good to have some friends over, and we just had a great time. Definitely a lot to celebrate. A lot to celebrate there. So really, really nice. But I had to make sure I was sharp enough to do it again this weekend in Laguna.
A lot to celebrate, not just last weekend, but throughout this season. I mean, it really can't be stressed enough how late in the game this deal came together with Dale Coyne. And it seems like you guys didn't just hit the ground running. You've hit the ground sprinting as we get into this final stretch, and the top 10 in points seems like a very realistic possibility.
Oh, yes, it is, and that's my goal right now. Actually, I'm 11 points away from 9th, so that's it's within reach. So, you know, there's some really strong cars behind me. There's strong cars all around you at this point when you're 11th in the standings. So it's gonna be hard, that's for sure. But I think we've, you know, until this point, you know, we've had such an incredible season. I think we can finish it off even better.
As we look ahead to this weekend, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, I know you can't fully find out until you get on track, but after you're in the track walk, I mean, second year after the repave, what do you think the track looks like, maybe with the differences that you might have?
It's got a few differences. Definitely, you know, the track has worn. You can see there's, you know, almost like a little bit of corrosion right on the racing line. So I think it's going to shake things up a little bit. Of course, there's a few new patches. They repaved the pit out, which is going to be a little bit different than the dirt and dust we're used to around this place. So, yeah, still, you know, one of the most beautiful places we show up to in the season. So, yeah, really excited to go out, practice one, and see how we are.
And lastly, I mean, where does this track sort of rank on the fun meter? I know they're all in their own ways of fun to get out there and really put a car through its paces, but where does this Laguna Seca track rank?
Oh, it's right up there. It's especially after the repave. Such a fast track, really have the grip to, you know, really attack these corners. So I think it's one of the most fun tracks out there, but it all depends on the car handling, of course.
Davey, I posted on social media shortly after the race in Toronto that I think that's the feel-good story of the year, period.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's no better one. I mean, he, you know, Arenas got called literally like a week before the first race at St. Petersburg, Florida, by Dale Coyne to put him in that race car. Didn't know who was going to fill up that seat. Didn't know if Arenas was even going to have a ride this year. But he has definitely proven that he belongs in this series, and that he can absolutely get the job done. That runner-up finish last week, there could have been several of them this year, although, as he says, he's still 11th at points, still's had a great season. He finishes, you know, he's a top 10 guy most every weekend. They've had some mechanical issues, had a header break at one of the races out of their control, but man, this kid, he absolutely gets the job done, and hats off to Dale Coyne. I mean, he's put a good race car underneath of him, and he's taken a couple engineers, they moved some crew guys around, but right now, he's looking really good.
Couple of takers, Stingray Rob, Kiffin Simpson, Jacob Abel, Robert Schwartzman, Louis Foster turning laps, and the advantage is the way this is divvied up, Davey, we had to get some clarification on it. I guess we didn't read the fine print earlier this year, but the advantage for the rookies, obviously, they get an extra set of Firestone Firehawks, but now when we get to the split sessions where the cars are split into two groups based upon their pit boxes, they go ahead and let the rookies run both of those sessions too if they would like.
That's right, yeah. So it's not just like Stingray Rob, obviously not a rookie, but he's able to go out and get some additional track time, which is needed. Right now, you got to look at everybody's out there. They're fighting for that final 22nd place in the championship to get the leader circle money, which is a large check at the end of the season. Some of them are right on it, some are behind it. So they have to go out and get the most they can out of these cars to try to make sure they get in that point situation.
Yeah, it's interesting to note how much more of a focus you and I have focused on it throughout the course of the season, especially since we left the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But all of those teams are focused on it. And if we may go back to Arenas VK, Dale Coyne's got to be breathing a huge sigh of relief because it looks like he is clearly going to be in that leader circle money.
Yeah, he's going to have one car in for sure. The second one, not so sure if he is or not. But one car is definitely there. The other one's fighting to be in. But it's back to, like I say, you just got to, at this point, there's a big fight with 5 or 6 drivers just to really cap this season off with 4 races left. Obviously, we have this permanent course here at the Laguna Seca. Then we go to Portland, Oregon, another permanent road course facility. And then, obviously, to the challenging 1-mile oval at Milwaukee, and then off to Nashville for the finale. So there's 4 tracks, 4 definitely different style racetracks that they have to get it done on, but they need all the points they can get to try to get that top 22.
So Oftentimes, it's a memorable weekend for Santino Ferrucci. Toronto was not for a number of reasons, and primarily because of a mistake that was made in the final warm-up on race day. Earlier today, our Dan Rusanowski caught up with Santino Ferrucci.
You know, when you talk about what makes a race team, oftentimes we talk about the driver, the strategist, the team owner, but I want to give a shout out to your crew, because you weren't able to start the last race, but they put together a really Herculean effort. Maybe you can give us an idea of what it was like to see them try to get you to start.
Yeah, obviously, you know, when you're rolling out a backup car, it's not the last thing you want to see. It's you're switching over all these different components, parts, and it's a smaller outfit, so it's tough. You know, you're down on manpower, but it was. You know, the guys did such a great job. I mean, also the span of races, you know, we're on our 5th race in 4 weeks. It's been atrocious. So, you know, everybody's pretty worn out. You know, it's tough on everybody. So they've done such a great job. The car that we've built for this weekend is exactly the quality of the car we want to have everywhere we go. So they've taken their time actually and got a chance to really go through the car this week. They were on it, working on it all day yesterday. They're some of the last people to leave the garage, and I feel really confident in the quality car and the product that they've produced.
All in all, it's been a real step forward for the team this season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 2 podiums, 4 top 5s so far. We're just outside now the top 10 of the points, but we've been in the top 10 of the points for quite a while. Both cars are right there, so it's, you know, we're so close to getting a win for this team. So hopefully that this is the weekend we can do it.
We've had a couple of crazy races here over the last couple of years. One a couple of years ago with lots of cautions. Scott Dixon ended up winning that one. We've had a repave here. How has the circuit changed in the last couple of years, especially with the change to the surface?
Man, with the repave, this place has gotten a lot quicker and a lot more physical. So it does look like that the track is starting to weather finally, which makes it good for tire deg and a bunch of other things. Also, when the track surface is older, it's a little bit slicker, so it has room for a bit more mistakes. But I think it's going to race well. It's last year, like you said, it did pretty good with all the cautions and late restarts. I had a blast. I think I finished in the top 10, so we'd like to better that this weekend and see what we can do.
Everybody talks about the corkscrew, but what about some of those turns leading up to it? They're pretty challenging, aren't they?
To be honest with you, I think the most challenging corner is the corner before the corkscrew, before you go up the hill, that left-hander, because it's really high speed. It's 4th gear. It's literally just a lift. And if you mess it up, you have to think about it all the way up the hill, because you can tell you're going really slow. 3-stop strategy is probably the conventional wisdom as to what might happen, but that, of course, depends on what happens during the course of the race weekend. But what about the change of strategies that you have to go through during the course of a race, especially at a circuit like this one? Yeah, obviously tires are a big thing about that. And right now, you know, we don't really know if this is going to be a prime tire race or an alt tire race. So we only get so many sets. We only get 5 sets of each. So especially using them in practice, you're very careful with your allotment, kind of understanding what you think type of race it's going to be, and then you go from there. So strategy's already started.
We're looking forward to seeing strategy work out for you. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Things heated up for him in May, Davey. 5th place in the 500, 2nd in Detroit, top 5 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then a 3rd place finish at Road America. But the last 4 races have not gone well. The 16th and 8th, the 15th and the 27th. And you heard Rinus VeeKay talking earlier about where he stood in terms of the points and wanting to get inside the top 10. He currently trails Santino Ferrucci by 7 points.
Yeah, so Ferrucci, you know, him and his teammate were tied. Matt Malukas going in to the last race for that 10th spot. Obviously, after that incident that Santino had in Detroit, didn't allow him to start that race at all, so lost a lot of points there to try to move himself, and that really closed Rinus in up on him. And so it's a great battle, and that's what we want to see. Love seeing points battles all over the racetrack. Obviously, from 2nd to about 15th, you can see a bunch of battles that are tied. It's just right now with Alex Blow so far in the front right now, it's really his championship to lose, and pretty hard to even do that at this point.
Actually, I misspoke. It's Malukas that VeeKay trails by 7 points, and then VeeKay is right behind him, and he is 12 points back of Rinus VeeKay, Santino Ferrucci as well.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yo, we got one in the spin. Looks like the Rasmussen.
21 car Rasmussen,
yeah, it spun. It looks like he kept it going, out of trouble, got out of everybody's way, and continues on.
Liquid Science's sponsorship on that car this weekend. Those of you that are fans of the tie-dye and happen to be Deadheads got to be rooting for Felix Rosenquist this weekend, Davey. That Grateful Dead sponsorship on the side of that car. It's a pretty nice tribute to that band.
Yeah, I really enjoy that Sirius XM. I think they've done such a great job of being able to, put different artists on there for whether it's tours, whether it's a new album coming out, whatever it may be, to really promote it through the INDYCAR series, and it keeps us guessing, and it brings back a lot of memories, right? I mean, obviously Ozzy Osbourne was on there not long ago, I think Mid-Ohio, and we lost him this last week, and so it was really cool to be able to honor him before his passing, and now Grateful Dead's on there. So you got to be a little bit older to see some of these, but there's been some new ones on there as well. But it's a great job by XM to keep everybody updated on what's going on.
That's been a good week for those of us that grew up in the 80s. I mean, Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show and Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne. My goodness.
Well, my wife says that happens in 3, so let's hope that's it. It's all over with for a while, because 3, quite huge characters, obviously, in our lifetime as growing up, and having them all, die in the last week's been pretty depressing, actually. But life goes on.
20 minutes to go in this session, and again, a couple of split sessions after this, and 26 of the 27 cars have turned laps, although Palou and Rosenquist still have only turned a couple. Scott Dixon has gone P1 early. He has completed 5 laps, and his time looks like 1:11.028. Then Louis Foster, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, and Nolan Siegel. Christian Rasmussen 6th fastest, then Colton Herta, Marcus Armstrong, Daly and Malukas the top 10. Rossi, VK, Simpson, Robb, and DeFrancesco through 15th. Santino Ferrucci is 16th. Graham Rahal is 17th. 18th, Robert Schwartzman. 19th, Will Power. 20th, Scott McLaughlin. 21st, Felix Rosenquist. Jacob Abel, Marcus Ericsson, Kyle Kirkwood, Callum Eilach through 25th. And now all 27 cars have cleared the timing and scoring loop, because Alex Palou and Pato O'Ward have each now crossed that timing and scoring loop.
Yeah, the best time right now of Rasmussen, who we did see spin, but he's also P1, that 1 minute 10 second. That's going to drop considerably. You got to remember this is the first laps these cars have been on track. They're going to get it figured out, and then once they put the alternate tire on, they're really going to start dropping from speed. And then, so they kind of know what to do for qualifying. We know that alternate tire is going to be faster for qualifying tomorrow, but they need to find out what that balance is going to be. And then after that, in the final warm-up, they're going to see what kind of drag that tire has, to see if it's going to be, as we heard Santino say, is this going to be a primary tire race? Is this going to be an alternate tire race? Never really know until you get to these facilities and they run that final warm-up on race conditions to see which tire is the best.
Davey, a quick recap of Toronto. 2nd win in 8 days for Pato O'Ward, and he is trying to run down Alex Palou.
He is doing what he has to do, right? I mean, to be able to run down Palou means you just have to win races. You just try not to look back, try to win all you can, and really great strategy call, by the way, for that race in Toronto. Strategies, as we talked about, there's about 10 different strategies going into that, or after the second round of pit stops, and it was all over the place. But there was a handful of teams that picked the one that Pato did, that left him out front and be able to win that race, including Rinus VK, who finished 2nd. Kiffin Simpson, don't forget him. Great year for him as well in that Ganassi Racing team. I mean, getting a 3rd for him, that's like a win as well.
Yeah, really cool podium. Colton Herta, I know, maybe a bit disappointed after starting on pole, but again, the pit strategy didn't play out. He finished 4th, but it was a really good weekend, I think, for Andretti Global. I mean, Marcus Ericsson, Kyle Kirkwood finished 5th and 6th, and they were bad fast all weekend long, but I think they were so fast in practice. When you look at some of the mistakes that were made in qualifying by Kirkwood, and maybe a bobble or two here and there in the pits in terms of the strategy, they probably walked away from that one feeling as though all 3 cars should have been on the podium.
Yeah, they probably, they leave there, and I'm going to go with Kirkwood first. I mean, he was the fastest in every practice session throughout that weekend, and then ends up qualifying 5th. Just made a little mistake in his really good lap to try to lay one down to be on the pole, and it starts there. I think it actually started 6th, and I think when you have the fastest car all weekend, and then you don't put it together for qualifying, you're not on the pole, that gets your attention. But you're right, that team had fast cars. I don't think the strategy went just exactly right. I do feel they still had fast race cars, just didn't get it all put together.
Christian Rasmussen is P1 with about 17 minutes remaining in this initial session. And again, 2 split groups are to come. And earlier today, our Alex Wolff caught up with Christian Rasmussen. Very special place for him because of where it stands in his motorsports history in terms of winning a championship in Indy Next.
Christian, I have to imagine when you come here to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, do the memories come flooding back of a couple of years ago when you clinched your Indy Next title that really put you on this path to the NTT IndyCar Series?
Yeah, it definitely does. Obviously, great memories here. I love coming out here on the West Coast. I love WeatherTech Laguna Seca as a racetrack. It's one of my favorites on the calendar for as far as the road courses go. So, yeah, love it out here. Hopefully, we can have another great weekend here this weekend.
Your second year in the IndyCar Series, your first full year contesting all the races. Just what's your takeaway from the season so far as we head into this final stretch of the year?
It's been a good experience. I think we've had some great results. There's some results that we can definitely better, but overall it's been consistent. We're kind of in a rebuilding phase as a team, and slowly getting better and better. So I think Alex and I built a great foundation this year to come out swinging for 2026.
And with that, rebuilding, a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum with the ECR. And this weekend, a perfect example of it with Java House sponsoring this race, involved with the ownership of the team. What's it been like this week, sort of being one of the focal points of the lead up to this race with that sponsorship?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's just a true testament to see what's all happening for ECR right now. I think it's a great opportunity for us as a team to have the Heartland Food Group on board. It's awesome to be the title sponsor for this event. Yeah, it's just great. You know, it gives the team extra publicity. It gives us drivers extra publicity. So it's really good for everyone.
And lastly, what's the level of excitement with that new shop that's going to be coming here in a couple of years? Yeah,
it's super exciting, you know. And again, it's just all that's happening for ECR as a team is really great. You know, we're a team on the up. We're building. We're getting better all the time, and we'll continue to do so. So having a great place to do that up in Westfield with where our new shop is going to be will be really cool.
Good stuff from Christian Rasmussen, talking pretty much about the overall state of the team. And yeah, Davey, we talked a little bit about it in Toronto. That new facility they're building up in Westfield, which, by the way, Grand Park, it's just kind of, you know, on the northeast side of Indianapolis, and it's the home, the training camp home of the Indianapolis Colts. They host all kinds of sports and tournaments there throughout the course of the year. It's gained a lot of momentum in terms of being an ideal place for people to come to play in tournaments. But going to be a neat home for Ed Carpenter and really give fans a chance to get up close and personal with that team.
Yeah, well, that you're talking about Westfield. What an amazing time. I mean, it has really expanded up there. Great place for, I think, Ed's race team. Really looking forward to it. And it's going to be, I mean, when he said exciting things happen for ECR, I totally agree. I mean, with Java House, obviously the title sponsor here at Laguna Seca, that's huge. He has 2 cars on racetrack. The results are getting better and better. I feel like it's just a different feel around that team right now, and I can't really put a finger on why it's different or what is different, because Ed's always been serious about winning. He's always been very professional. He's always had really great guys, but just there's a new energy down there, and I expect him to take advantage of that for years to come.
Points leaders are flexing a bit of muscle now with 13 minutes remaining in this session. Alex Palou is going to P1. A minute 10, 1:70 for Palou. Award just a tick behind at a minute 10, 3:41. You go all the way down to 6th place Marcus Armstrong to where everyone's in the 110s. That's Palou, Award, Rosenquist, Rasmussen, Malukas, and Armstrong. And in the minute 11s, Herta, Dixon, Kirkwood, and Siegel. They are in the top 10. Again, Marcus Armstrong continues to be competitive. And Alex Wolff, we just continue to say it. We don't want to jinx him, but I think that victory lane is coming very, very soon for Marcus Armstrong.
I think it is coming soon. He had that podium finish in race 2 at the Iowa Speedway, and right now 66 is going to come in, and they had a debrief, and they are making a front shock and spring change to the 66 car, and he'll be heading back out and trying to improve for Meyer-Shank Racing.
And the red flag is flying. Davey Hamilton, excuse me, Alex, an issue for Devlin DeFrancesco.
Yeah, Devlin definitely had hard contact. We're going to watch replay. He gets off that dirt, and looks like that'll be in turn 4. And, man, hard contact with that outside barrier right there. And bent that car, slides back up on the racetrack, but heavy, heavy damage to the left side of that race car. And going to be a lot of repair work for them to make the next session. Well, actually, they're done for the day. So he'll be done for this session. They'll get it ready for tomorrow.
And we need to let folks know that, have access to video, that when you get off here at Laguna Seca, you might have noticed all of the speed that he carried before impact.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking about a similar setup to, say, China Beach at the apex of Turn 4 at Mid-Ohio, where it gets deep and they kind of slow him down a little bit. There's really nothing to stop, but that's pretty hard pan stuff when they get off the racetrack.
That's right. Very hard panned, as you just said, and situation where you're just along for the ride. I mean, it's really just kind of it's a hard gravel, almost what it is, and you usually don't go off right there. You just kind of overcorrected that car, and you got to remember, Devlin's one of those drivers that we talked about earlier. He's on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
In that points championship, or the leader circle money. I think he's like a 24th in points, somewhere right in there. So he definitely didn't need this. He needs good runs throughout the rest of the season to try to get in that top 22.
Yeah, that's one of those we talked about, a high commitment corner. We got to look just prior to that red flag condition, Davey, from the in-car view of Scott Dixon. And I go back to the comments that Scott Dixon made about how blind that approach is up and to the entrance of the corkscrew. We'll hear more about that, talk more about that in just a moment, but we need to talk to Michael Shea.
And Michael, with this red flag, we were talking about Marcus Armstrong just knocking on the door. We feel like he might be the next guy poised to get a first win in the NTT IndyCar Series. Just to talk a little bit about how he's been able to integrate into this team this year.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus is really coming on. I'd say over the last, we've done these 4 weekends in a row. We noticed something a couple weeks ago in him just that really started igniting, and it's great to see. I love it. So I don't know what ultimately is going to happen, but he is right now pushing himself to another level, I believe. Let's see what happens this weekend, but I like what I'm seeing.
And I mean, it just seems like the whole team has leveled up, with Felix having a great season as well. Just to talk about this atmosphere with the 60 and the 66, because you can just palpably feel it on the pit lane each week.
Yeah, we're in a great spot. There's so much effort goes into this program from everybody on the team. Also, our technical alliance with Chip and Ganassi Group is really good. Very family-like, to be honest with you, which is better than I even expected. So we thank them, and we thank all the men and women that work here. It's been this run is really, really difficult for everybody, and we're getting on with it here pretty good. So try to get in the top 5 and keep both cars. Ultimately, the perfect world would be both top 5 at the end of the year, but we'll see how that goes.
Definitely seeing the fruits of labor, 6th and 7th in points. And lastly, of course, you talk about the great technical alliance with Ganassi, but the great alliances with the corporations, of course, the great efforts with SiriusXM, and we've been so entertained with the various paint jobs. And how about here in Portland having the Grateful Dead on board with Felix?
Yeah, it's really cool. That car is probably the best looking car I've seen in a long time, if you like that kind of thing. But we really appreciate SiriusXM and the creativity that they are and our group are coming up with, just to get more eyeballs and more people paying attention to IndyCar. We want to do our part, and we feel like we are, and they're really proud of that effort. We had the Aussie car last week, or whatever that was now, a couple weeks ago, losing track. Mid-Ohio lost Aussie this week, which was really tragic, and a lot of people have asked us to do a tribute car to him. I don't know if we'll get that done or not, but we have one more really, really cool one coming before the end of the year, so everyone look forward to that.
Well, we look forward to that, and also, just put some in the suggestion box with us being on SiriusXM channel 218. Maybe at some point on the 60-car IndyCar radio would look nice on the side pod.
That wouldn't be bad. It's possible. It's possible.
Well, we look forward to that. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Attaboy, Alex Wolf. All they got to do is say no, right? We've all been told that a time or two. But anyway, Davey, back to our comments about what Santino Ferrucci talked about, the challenging portion of this racetrack, the corkscrew. But Santino Ferrucci once said that approach of that final turn to the entrance to the corkscrew is more challenging to him because you can't see where you are. I mean, it looks like you're going straight up into the sky at that point.
Yeah, and no question about it, because that's exactly it. You got to go. You're going up that hill. All you see is sky. You cannot see where the apex is, not only for the turn 8, but turn 8A as well as you drop off that hill, and it's very challenging. Now, it's hard to pass there. Now, like I say, the Zanardi Herdadale, it didn't look, it was pretty interesting, but we don't see many passes like that anymore. They all really enter that corner so hard. Matter of fact, I do notice one thing before they get to turn 8, going up that hill, is they're cutting the curbing now on the left side of the racetrack, where we usually just stayed above it. They're actually going below it now on the left side, just trying to get a better angle at that corner.
It's interesting here because this is one of the few tracks that we will race upon, especially one that's like a natural terrain road course where there's really no designated quote-unquote front straight. I mean, I don't see anything listed as such in the track description, and there's certainly nothing listed as the quote-unquote back straight. And if you look at a track map, I suppose it makes sense because there is a pretty significant bend. Once you exit turn 11 and work your way back down to turn 1 and then on to the hairpin in turn 2, it's really not much of a straightaway, but it is awfully fast, uphill, and then back downhill.
Yeah, and that, I was just getting ready to say that turn 1 you're going uphill again, and so once you crest turn 1 once you crest that front straightaway over the hill into where turn 1 is, all of a sudden you're trying to find your brake markers for turn 2, that hairpin, that Andretti hairpin, and it's a lot of fun there. You can go several different lines going down into turn 2. Great part of this racetrack, but again, another blind portion of this racetrack for all these drivers.
Alex Below continues P1, and again, that time is a minute 10.380. Award, Rosenquist, Rasmussen, and David Malukas the top 5. Armstrong, Herta, Dixon, Kirkwood, and Siegel the top 10. Regis VK, 11th fastest. Louis Foster, Devlin DiFrancesco, who just wadded up his race car, is done for the day, but he was 13th fastest. Then Joseph Newgarden, 14th. Callum Eilert, 15th. Then Christian Lundgaard, Scott McLaughlin, and Will Power. Connor Daly, 19th fastest. 20th, Santino Ferrucci. 20th, Alexander Rossi. Let's see. Actually, he's 21st. Then 22nd is Simpson. 23rd, Stingray Rob. Then Robert Schwartzman, Graham Rahal, Jacob Abel, and Marcus Ericsson. But some of these teams, Davey, still being somewhat judicious with these primary tires because a couple of drivers have only turned 4 or 5 laps so far.
Yeah, I think this session now we have 5 minutes remaining, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just over 5 minutes. And so now we're going to see all the, they're in a situation where they can go ahead and finish using these tires up. Are you going to see any really blistering fast times? Not sure on that. They could actually put some alternates on and make a quick little simulated qualifying run, but not sure they'll do that. They may wait for tomorrow.
I think this is a bit of history because, as I said, listening to last year's race, I think this race is noteworthy for a number of reasons, but among them, Davey, this was the last race in the NTT IndyCar Series without the hybrid.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then, that's right, which is key. Now, this hybrid, it's created some issues. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's been some good, some bad. I think all these teams are pretty much getting it figured out. And my bad, too. This is the session time. There's only 5 minutes left. They're going to split these groups up here in a minute. So they will put these alternate tires on once they get to the next groups.
One of the Team Penske cars took kind of a wide exit off of, looked like it'd be around turn number 7 or so, was able to gather it back in and is cresting the hill right now and prepping for that corkscrew. A couple of the other points possibilities that we try to keep track of during the campaign, Davey. We talk about the engine manufacturers battle, and it's been a dominant year for Honda, and that continues. Even though it was a pretty good day all in all for Chevrolet at Toronto, Honda leads 1,223 to 1,018 for Chevrolet.
Yeah, man, that's going to be tough for them as power goes completely off out in that off of turn 7. That's actually off of turn 6 going into turn 7 right now, heading up that hill. Gets him off, he gets it back on. But that championship there, I think it's kind of like Plo. I think Honda really has it in the bag right now, and which is surprising because that championship usually throughout the season goes back and forth. But man, with Plo on such a hot streak, and then the only 2 wins for Chevrolet this year from the same guy, and that's Pato O'Ward.
Firestone Pit Performance Award, as we see a replay of that big off by Will Power, and it was a big off. But the Wolfpack, Scott Dixon now leading the Firestone Pit Stop Performance Award race, and Errol McLaren with Pato O'Ward is in second place, and then it's Ganassi, Penske, Errol McLaren, talking about the Team Penske team with Will Power. So no surprise that those Penske cars are looking up at the cars of Ganassi Racing. And speaking of Ganassi Racing, Scott Dixon has pointed the wrong direction, Davey.
Yeah, that's that difficult corner that we talked about. It's just really hard to get through that corner and get up the hill. And looks like he must have hit. There's like a bump on the bottom of that. Oh, he just went high too. Just hit that bump, got to the outside of the track, spun around, and was facing the oncoming traffic, pretty much out of the way. But man, he just waited a long time before he straightened it back out, make sure he was out of harm's way, and no cars were coming before he turned that thing back around.
Drivers were anxious to get here because after the repave last year, they felt like that the grip would probably increase quite a bit this year.
Yeah, well, and what happens, all tracks weather, right? When it's brand new pavement, the grip's at its very, very highest. Even though there's still going to be high grip, it's starting to weather a little bit, which is good. It's going to show, handlings of the car is going to be a little different, not as much speed, not as much grip, and puts a little bit more back in the driver's hand. And by the way, when these tracks are paved like this and it's new and has so much grip, it's so physically demanding. We see Abel go off as well. They are absolutely physical demanding. I mean, it's just really hard to turn these cars. Ooh, Rossi off hard into the tire barrier backwards as well.
Yeah, that's going to bring out a red flag, Davey, because that car, the left rear on that car is off the rim, and the rear wing on that car is certainly pretty banged up.
Yeah, Rossi not having a very good year either with that ECR team. Just a lot of issues. When we watch, he goes in that same corner, just overcorrects, and then turns it, and then slams that left front end, and then the back of the car. So it got the front and the back of that car. He hit that at a high rate of speed, and man, as you said, once you go off in these gravel traps, it doesn't slow you down that much. I mean, a slight bit, but boy, he hit that tire barrier really hard.
And to your point about a frustrating season for Alexander Rossi, Davey, he is currently 18th in points, and he is essentially tied with Connor Daly, and Marcus Ericsson is just 4 points behind.
Yeah, just hasn't had the year that he's been hoping for, and just tough, just not a good year at all. And we see what happens there. Yep, he actually just hit that little bump. It's actually like a little dip on the apex or on the bottom of the racetrack, and that corner heading up the hill, and it just turned the car around. And simultaneously in a different corner, we see Abel spin around, gets off in that gravel, but has no contact. His car's still good to go. Going
to be scratching their head trying to narrow down that brake bias throughout the course of this weekend.
Yeah, in that corner there really is no brake going to that corner where Rossi was. You should just lift there. You shouldn't be using any brake. I think just he hit that just a little bit, tried a little bit too fast, or just hit it a little bit too far to the left. Not sure. He's the one going to have to tell us kind of what happened there. But it looks like once that car went with that dip, it just unloaded the back of that car, and he was along for the ride.
And Davey, it sounds like they've thrown the red and the checkered flag on this session.
Yeah, session is now over. And what they'll do now is go into some split groups to where it gives everybody a little extra time or a little extra track room to get some space out there to try to cut a lap.
And this is where you're probably going to start seeing use of those alternates and as they get ready for their qualifying sims.
Yeah, probably not till the end of the session for each group. They'll throw this alternate set on just to see what balance change that they have. And so back to what we talked about, really a big disadvantage for these cars that have damage like DeFrancesco, now Alexander Rossi. They will not be able to get those cars fixed in time for them to be able to come out and really experience and feel what that alternate tires are going to do to their race car, how it's going to change it, what changes they need to make to be fast. And so it really hinders them for qualifying as well.
Because of the fact that you can now use them whenever you want, I guess it's going to be a roll of the dice. I guess in this situation, he could rely on his teammate and what he finds out for the use of the alternates. But as push comes to shove, he could conceivably use them tomorrow. But again, you've got to be very judicious because you know what the rules are in terms of what you have to run in the race, and you want to make sure that if for instance the alternate is the tire of choice, I guess you can use this to your advantage from the standpoint that you haven't used any to this point by the time you get to Saturday.
That's one great thing about having a teammate. They can relay the information back to you on what that car does and how it feels and where the extra grip is, what the balance changes is. But I'll have to say this. Until you do it yourself, until you get those tires on the car yourself, it's just still always a bit of a question mark. And you're absolutely right. Tomorrow and tomorrow's practice session before qualifying, Alexander will have the opportunity to put those tires on and make a run, which is probably a really good idea for him to and just make sure he doesn't make a mistake when he's doing a simmed run.
Did you ever find yourself in a situation with a teammate in which the teammate was willing to help, but their style and their verbiage was different, that it just wasn't any help for you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely that situation as well, to where when you say that they're honest and telling you the truth, I question that sometimes as well.
Well, knowing a little bit about your history, I think I know who you're talking about, but we'll leave it at that.
So you kind of had to, that's like I say, that's back to those experiences. Until you put it on your car yourself and you really try it, you can't take it to the bank. But there is a lot of data that you can look at. You can see throttle traces, you can see steering angles, so it still does help you, but it's probably better to look at the data than sometimes the driver. Now, and you're back to exactly what you said, is some driver styles are so completely different that that some, my setup may not be comfortable. We had that at Indianapolis one year in the dry Reinbolt camp. We had 4 drivers, and fortunately we were running really good in the month of May and getting ready to prep for the 500, but a couple of teammates were struggling to make the race, and so we put my setup on there, and they weren't comfortable with it. So I hopped in that car, and I loved it. So there is that situation to where, each driver has his own comfort zone and likes to drive a car a certain way.
Car is on the hook, but it looked like that they were taking the forklift out there to kind of get some of those tires replaced, we should say, in the correct position, because safety first for sure. We can tell you when it comes time for Group 1, it'll be Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin, Pato O'Ward, Kyle Kirkwood, Christian Rasmussen, Marcus Erickson, Stingray Robb, Nolan Siegel, Marcus Armstrong, David Malukas, Renus VK, and Callum Ilott. In Group number 2, it'll be Colton Herta, Will Power, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, Santino Ferrucci, Felix Rosenquist, Kiffin Simpson, Graham Rahal, Connor Daly, Alexander Rossi. Devlin DeFrancesco was set to run in this group, but will not participate because of the damage done to his race car. Same thing for Rossi in the group that he was scheduled to participate in. But Robert Schwartzman, Louis Foster, Jacob Abel, those rookies will be able to run in both of the sessions coming up. A word or two about this race course. It's 2.238 miles in length, 11 turns, including the corkscrew. It's a 6-story drop in a mere 450 feet. Originally constructed in 1957 in Monterey, when the Pebble Beach road racers required a safer course. The track's known for hosting a variety of racing events from sports cars to motorcycles. And the brand new president in his first year, Davey, is somebody that's no stranger to the NTT IndyCar Series, in Mel Harder.
Yeah, how about that for Mel? I'm very happy for Mel. Obviously, he has so much knowledge in this sport. It's great to see him have this opportunity as well to work here. Obviously, was part of Indianapolis Motor Speedway for years with the home of George family. Then moved to COTA for the track in Austin, Texas, and then now here at WeatherTech here at Laguna Seca. And so glad to call him a friend, and we talk about a lot of racing stuff and a lot of behind the story things that happen and how to make racing better. I don't know if any of them work, but I'll tell you, he is the guy for the job. Matter of fact, a lot of good people here at Laguna Seca, and it starts with him.
Some of the numbers, JB, from this season in terms of, if you want to break the numbers down and look at categories, besides Palou leading the race wins, he also leads in poles, as we should say. He has 4 on the season. Colton Herta has won a couple of poles this year, just a couple of minutes away from the first group, by the way. Palou has led 10 of the races. Scott Dixon has led 6, along with Kyle Kirkwood, Pato O'Ward. Here's a stat I've always liked, Davey, and this is laps completed. And only one driver has completed all 1,775 laps, and that's Pato O'Ward, is currently P2 in points.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, and I think there's some cool ones that are just maybe missed a lap or so. Obviously, Palou, got punted at Detroit, so he missed some laps there. But, that's always a great number. You want to finish every lap you can, because that's why he's so far up the championship. Now, one thing with Palou, when you win 7 of these darn things, and you need to finish every lap and win a lot of races to be able to compete with that. But that's key. Finish these races is very, very key.
Palou has led 1,747 laps, and believe it or not, that's 8th. Lundgaard is actually one behind his teammate. He's finished 1,774 laps. Dixon, Connor Daly, and Graham Rahal, Davey, are in the top 5 in terms of laps completed.
Yeah, wow, that just shows the consistency. Now, they haven't had the best finishes. Obviously, Connor had a great run at both races in Iowa. Didn't get on the podiums, but it could have. I mean, not only could have been on the podiums, but I think had a really strong opportunity to win those races, and just didn't get it pulled off for that Uncos Ollinger race team. But man, he was fast. There's no question about that.
So, again, we're readying, we should say, for Group 2, and that'll be Alex Pillow, Scott McLaughlin, Pato Award, Kyle Kirkwood, Christian Rasmussen, Marcus Erickson, Stingray Robb, Nolan Siegel, Marcus Armstrong, David Malukas, Renus VK, and Callum Eilot. And we are 1 minute away. And, Davey, you think, since it's a 12-minute session, you think around the halfway point we might start seeing some alternates, or will we see some earlier than that?
Yeah, no, I would say you're right. I'd say about that halfway point, maybe even a little less than that, to where 4 minutes or 5 minutes left or so in the session, that they'll pop those alternate tires on, go out in there and give them a really strong run. And, you know, another thing that they're trying to find out about those as well, Mark, is how, you know, which lap is the best lap for those. You know, sometimes, you know, it's that very first lap. And so you have to even be careful warming the tire up that you don't get rid of the really good stick part of the tire, the ultimate lap of that tire. But normally it's that second, third, maybe even fourth lap where you really get to the perfect and the best optimal speed out of those tires. So that's one other thing they're going to be looking for, is which lap is the fastest for them in that car on those alternates.
Group 1 is underway. What an interesting couple of years it's been for Nolan Siegel. Essentially a year and a half, you know, got put in that seat about halfway through last season. And then, of course, this year, some changes in the management structure and the folks guiding his fortune. Recently, Kyle Moyer was added to that race team, and they're all under the direction of Tony Kanaan. Now Scott Harner is there helping out Nolan Siegel. Well, earlier today, our Dan Rusanowski caught up with the driver who's currently 21st in points.
Well, this is a special place for you because you grew up not too far from here in Palo Alto, but you also made your debut here for Arrow McLaren. What's it like to come back here?
Yeah, it's amazing to be back, and very different circumstances this year. So I'm excited. It's always a special place for me, very nostalgic, and yeah, excited to be here again and be kind of settled. And last year was so chaotic that didn't really get to fully enjoy it. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. All those cautions and everything else changes the strategy. You'd like to have a cleaner race, wouldn't you, this year?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the race is what it is. It was more the weekend for me that was just, you know, obviously first weekend with Arrow McLaren, and kind of hadn't really met anyone until I got to the track. So the race was what it was. I think it was exciting last year, but yeah, I definitely would like, I think, maybe a few less cautions, and I think we'll have some close racing this year, so it'll be good.
Also, the results sound like your last couple of times out on the circuit. What do you have to do to do a little bit better this time?
I mean, look, again, last year it was my first race with the team, having never met anyone before, coming in with zero preparation. Like, the result was actually pretty good, all things considered, finishing 12th last year. So I think we have a lot to build on. And we've been extremely fast the last few weekends, and it hasn't quite come together into the race result that we've wanted, but I think we've been qualifying really well, and we'll try to continue that this weekend and put it all together into a good Sunday result. But the fact that the team got a great Sunday result with Zach Brown in town had to feel pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. Very happy for Pato, happy for the whole team. Unhappy with the result that the 6 car got, and ultimately, you know, it's my goal to be the one on the top step. But yes, of course, very happy for the team and for Pato. That's a huge momentum for everyone, and they've all been working hard, and no one deserves it more. So give us your thought about when you get up to the corkscrew and you start to go through it. What does it feel like for a driver? It looks very impressive. I would say the corkscrew is probably actually one of my least favorite corners on this track. It's a little bit awkward as a driver. It's cool the first couple times, and then I think the novelty wears off a little bit. But I think what makes this track so cool is all the high-speed, high-commitment stuff kind of in the back sector, you know, turn 3 through 6. So for me, that's what I look forward to on this track. And the corkscrew it's a great show for fans. It's super cool to watch, but I think the coolest parts to drive are those really high-speed corners. Yeah, 3 through 6, and of course the condition of the surface in that area too is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, with the repave a couple years ago, it's changed a little bit, getting a little bit lower grip, but I think that's going to improve the racing quite a bit. It's opening up different lines, so that's good. I think the racing is going to get better every year after the repave. Well, you keep getting better too. Good luck. Thank you.
Some finishes of 19th or worse, Davey, but, all in all, an 11th place finish in Mid-Ohio, an 8th place finish at Road America. And I remember talking to Brian Barnhart about this back at Barber. He said, on the one hand, it was a difficult decision putting him in the car at the halfway point of last year because they knew it would eliminate any contention he had, any possibility he had for getting Rookie of the Year, but they felt like that they better grab him before somebody else did. And so I know that he started a handful of races last year, but for all intents and purposes, this is the rookie season for Nolan Seca.
Yeah, no, it really is. And, he's had his ups and downs, too. Obviously, missing a race this year. Didn't pass the concussion protocol the INDYCAR has. At the second race in Iowa, finds himself 21st in that points battle. And then Louis Foster is, because Schwartzman is 22nd, but not eligible. And then 23rd, Louis Foster, not far behind. So there's still a big battle, to make sure that he stays in that top 22 in points. And you wouldn't think that out of that Arrow McLaren team, but even though it's been a good year, it hasn't been a good year. He's down on the points, and he's missed a race. But he's still fighting and going forward. I expect him to have some good results here at the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And obviously, they have surrounded him with a lot of guys with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. And he's got some really good teammates, I think, that can move that process along. And don't look now, Davey, but it appears as though that Premier Racing, even though we see one of their drivers, I believe, Robert Schwartzman, with a brief off, but don't look now, but they appear to be getting their legs underneath them as we get into the last quarter of the season here. I mean, an 8th place finish for Callum Ilott at Toronto, an 11th place finish, or 9th place finish a couple of races ago for Robert Schwartzman, and he finished 16th at Toronto and really was in contention until, I believe, an ill-timed pit stop took him out of contention.
Yeah, so I kind of did some research on them this week, actually that team, just to kind of evaluate their first year. Got to remember, first year as a team, so I wasn't really looking at the drivers, just the team and how they're doing. And not easy. It's just tell you, it's not easy to start a new team. I don't care how much money you have to come in here and compete against these guys. It has to be a pretty big disappointment, though, for them. Some of their good finishes is really because of attrition, some bad luck on other teams. They have had some speed at a few races. Right now, Ilott jumps to that second spot, so that's good for them. But they've had ups and downs, mostly downs, but it's a team that seems that they continue to move people around and continue to fight to get better.
But, Davey, it should be hard for somebody to come in here and start winning right away, shouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that tells you what's a good thing is, we all, the ultimate budget, unlimited budget, they say. And that tells you how difficult INDYCAR is, just knowing that, they have, you look at their program, it's like really impressive, honestly. They came from the Formula 1 side of motorsports and Formula 2, and they're from their equipment to their pit equipment, their cars, everything looks beautiful, first class, and very, very impressive. But that doesn't mean they're going to be fast on a racetrack, because these teams that they're up against are second to none, and that you're right. I mean, they shouldn't. It's just not easy to come here and compete right off the bat.
Let's check in with Alex Wolf.
Almost feels like a mini qualifying session. It's about halfway through. We've reached a crossover point. Rinus VeeKay pulling in. Marcus Armstrong just went out. Scott McLaughlin, Alex Palou making the switch from the blacks to the reds. Louis Foster momentarily should be coming in as well. And Pato O'Ward, a little bit of a different strategy. He started this split session on the alternate compound red sidewall tires. So some varying strategies from some, but for the most part, we're seeing that switch over now for the blacks to the reds.
Yeah, Davey, you thought that might be the case, that a handful of teams would go ahead and throw on those alternates at the start of the session.
Yeah, that's right. I would, a few of them, it just depends on what they have to prove. And sometimes, what happens if you put them on early, because that clock keeps ticking, and you at least get the laps in, you at least kind of figure out, okay, exactly how long are these tires going to last me? What do we got to do? What balance changes do we have to have? So no surprise, right now we got 6 of the cars of the 14 out there with this alternate tire on. Times are going to start falling. You see Pato O'Ward 109.26 right now, and then you got Ilott on the reds 109.6, Stingray Rob 110.3, and then Palou right now he turned 1 lap in. This is his flyer lap right now. As he crosses the line here momentarily, we'll see what he can put up. So
your top 5, and again, it's a bit of a misnomer because some of those just put those alternates on and really haven't had their flyer yet. So it's O'Ward, Ilott, Rob, Palou, and Rasmussen in the top 5, and then Abel, Malukas, VeeKay, McLaughlin, Schwartzman the top 10. Armstrong is 11th, Foster is 12th, Siegel is 13th, Erickson is 14th, and Kirkwood is 15th. And, for a guy quite frankly, like our pole sitter, Robert Schwartzman, I think that some of those natural terrain road courses overseas that he grew up racing on, I think there are probably some elements to this racetrack, Davey, that he would find very, very familiar and somewhat comforting in that regard.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're more, when we go to Road America and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I think the longer courses are what he's familiar with. And this one here, I think it has the style. It's just very short from what he's used to. And so I think he's going to catch on to this one actually fairly quickly. We'll see. I think Ilott, he's been here before with other teams. Obviously, he's found some pretty good speed right off. Kirkwood just shoots up to right now to that P3 spot with a 109.9. And then Pelot, he did cross the timeline, or is he crossing it right now? No, he did cross the timeline already. He finds himself still in that 5th spot at a 107, I think is the quickest. So we'll find out if he can pick it up on this next lap.
To your point, we talked about Callum Ilott starting to find some pace. He has jumped up to P2, Davey. He is in a 69.673. As a matter of fact, got 3 cars in the 69s now at Award, Ilott, and Kyle Kirkwood.
That's right. And no surprise on Award, 2-time race winner. Kirkwood, 3-time race winner this year. They're 2 of the drivers that have been able to win. There's the other 2, which is the Ganassi guys, Dixon and Pelot. So we know that they're quick right now. And then you got Rasmussen, who's been on top of the chart in round 1 of the open practice, as we see a car go off, just a bit, left a lot of dust there, and Pelot kind of actually went around it, not being able to see, slowed his lap down, put him in that 3rd spot.
I think that might have been Scott McLaughlin in the number 3 car, running just in front of Pelot on the racetrack. At least that's the guess that I'm going to make as we get a look at the replay. It looks like it was McLaughlin's car.
Yeah, and so what happened there, that timeline is right in that area. So not only did it mess up that lap for Pelot, but it's going to kind of mess up his next one as well. And these tires, these alternate tires that he's on, they degrade pretty quickly. So not sure that he has any more additional speed in those tires as the laps start clicking off on him.
I thought it was interesting last week when he made that comment after qualifying, and we mentioned it a few times during the race in terms of your race strategy. He said, he started to feel those alternate tires deg a little bit on lap number 4, but the problem is the window for that stop was about 15.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, we see a big wiggle coming off. I think Rasmussen coming off that final corner. Rinus VeeKay actually spun coming off that corner. He had to get that under control. We've seen Pelot actually make a really wide corner down in turn 5. Didn't get in the dirt, but went used all that lane. So right now, these drivers are really pushing the edge to try to get some lap time. And how about Armstrong shoots to that 2nd spot? We just talked about him earlier, how he's really seemed to find and gather speed and end the season with that Meyer-Shank team.
If you remember, this is where a couple of years that because of what happened a couple of years ago, I'll tell you what, let's talk you through that replay with Rinus VeeKay.
Yeah, so Rinus, he came off that final corner and just basically just kind of overcorrected as well. Got a little bit sideways, got off the outside, and ironically, it had nothing to do with VeeKay, but Rasmussen comes off there. He gets that back in sideways over the curb as well. Almost spins out, but doesn't quite. He makes the corner, but two mistakes for two fast drivers right now. Matter of fact, VeeKay in that 8th spot, and then you got Rasmussen in the 5th spot.
A couple of years ago, we had utter chaos because of where the restart line was before that turn. There's a white line across there now, about it just past that turn, and I believe now, if I remember right, now you have to hold your position until you cross that line, and that was a really good call because, as I remember, a couple of years ago, it was utter chaos down there.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't right. I mean, it was a situation to where these drivers, they take every advantage they can get to pass somebody because it's just that difficult to do. And so, when it's difficult to pass, they're going to try to find a way. Well, then when all of them are doing it, it just was stacking everybody up, every restart, and crashing guys out. And now, as you said, they have to stay single file until they come off that corner, and so they can't make that risky move going down into turn 11 now.
Final seconds winding down on the first session, and a guy that is red hot of late is Pato O'Ward, and he's looking to stay that way. He is at a 69.206. Marcus Armstrong is 2nd fastest, despite the fact that he kind of had to waste a lap. Alex Pelot is still pedaling around to a 69.434. Callum Ilott 4th fastest. Then it's Christian Rasmussen as the checkered flag flies. Then Kirkwood, then Malukas, Rinus VeeKay. Hay, Stingray Rob, Scott McLaughlin, Marcus Erickson, Louis Foster, Jacob Abel, Robert Schwartzman, and Nolan Siegel. And this is the disparity right now, Davey. We see Pato Award at a 69.206. And let's see, or check that. Yeah, it's fast time is 69.206, Davey. Yeah. And in terms of Nolan Siegel right now, he is at a minute 170.
Yeah, those that timing. I'm with you because they have some speeds and times, and they have the last and the fast. So a little confusing on timing and scoring sometimes there, so I get mixed up as well, Mark. But yeah, you're exactly right. Still very close. And right now, as this is wind down, checkered flag has stopped. Award Armstrong below. Ilott, still a great run for him, as we talked about with that Prima team in fourth, Rasmussen in fifth. But how about Kirkwood? Guy that, he needs to continue trying to win. Like I say, he has 3 wins on the season, all on. Well, he has an oval win, I think, now, and then 2 temporary road courses.
Group number 2 will feature Colton Herta, Will Power, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, Santino Ferrucci, Felix Rosenquist, Kiffin Simpson, Connor Daly. Let's see, Alexander Rossi will not run in this session, and Devlin DeFrancesco will not run either, so that will make just a little more room for those that will be running in this session, which is right around the corner. Graham Rahal in this session as well, and earlier today, our Dan Rusanowski caught up with him.
Graham, the last race that you guys had felt like a morale booster to a lot of people observing. Was it exactly that for the team?
Yeah, I think it was good. We it's nice just to have like a good solid weekend without shit going wrong. I mean, I feel like all year we've had a lot of good pace from time to time, but inherently always something goes sideways. So, it's been nice. I mean, we had a good run at Indy GP. We've had a couple of good runs lately, but obviously, Toronto hopefully will turn the corner for us.
Where do you rank this circuit amongst all the road circuits in IndyCar?
Oh, I mean, top couple for sure. This is right there. I mean, this place is pretty hard to beat. I think in every regard, it's a special track.
How has it changed over the last couple of years with the repave and the way that's affected tire degradation and so forth?
Well, yeah, I mean, repave was obviously was fast. I mean, once rubber started to build, it was extremely fast those first couple of years. But now you're going to start to see a little more degradation. I think a little more wear in the track, a little wider groove. As far as where you can run on track, because that was always a big challenge, like with as narrow as it was, because, when the repave happened, like everybody was running one lane. If you went off, it was so slippery. But I think that's going to get a lot, better as we go here. So same for everybody, though. You got to go out and put your best foot forward.
Looks like a 3-stop race, given the amount of time, the type of track you got, but is one of the more interesting, intriguing parts of the weekend as to whether the primaries or the alternates are going to be better?
Yeah, 3-stop opens things up a little bit, but I do anticipate. I think the prime tire is probably the way to go. Some people may say alternate, but last year the alternates seemed to struggle here. And this year, I would say the tendency has been that the alternates have struggled at most places. So I don't know. You never know. You go out there today, and we'll run them tonight. Run them, late in the session, and maybe it's awesome. Maybe the deg is less, and maybe the balance is just purely better, and the wear is less. So, we don't know. But obviously, you have a weekend like last weekend, totally different track. But Toronto, where the degradation was extremely high, right? So, we'll see. But it'll open up strategy quite a lot.
Much family here this weekend?
I got all 3. Yeah.
Everybody's here, huh?
For sure.
That's always an extra special thing you do, isn't it? To have everybody here.
Of course, yeah. It's always great to have the girls, and they've been to a lot of places, but this is certainly one they never want to miss.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the living, breathing definition of a racing family for sure, especially considering his father-in-law, who continues the road to recovery, the legendary NHRA champion, John Force. And pretty good weekend all in all at Toronto for Graham Rahal, Davey.
Yeah, no, did a really good job there as well. And he's fighting. I mean, he has a little bit of stunt proof. Some people say, no, it's time for him to do something different. But he still has speed. He still races well. I just think, that team's they've gone through a little bit of, tough times in the last 3-4 years, and especially some of the ovals, and including the Indy 500. But they're fighting. They're trying to get their team better. They have Jay Fry over there, kind of taking the reins to find the right people in the right places, and not to change the racing subject. But how about his sister-in-law running 341 mile an hour, I think, and basically 3 seconds, and then the track record in HRA last week.
Well,
impressive
you
there.
talk about the fact that Jay Fry's been installed as president, and Davey, you know, whenever you change a lead administrator, I mean, you go back a year ago and you look at when basically Tony Kanaan was placed in that position. I mean, you know, some guys come in and blow things up right away and start all over, and some guys take some time to reassess. We'll talk more about that in a minute after we hear from the hottest driver in the NTT IndyCar Series, and Pato O'Ward.
And Pato is still doing a little bit of debriefing with the team. A quick, Pato, how'd the car feel in that session?
We've rolled off strong, you know, just getting a read on the prime and on the alternate. I you know, obviously still believe that we've got some work to do to dial it in and be a bit more consistent. But, you know, in terms of speed, I think we're there.
Well, we'll let you get back to debriefing the team. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, Davey, Pato O'Ward certainly is a driver that's about as hot as anybody in the series right now, and you know, is poised to try to track down Alex Palou. But again, as we've talked about before, you get to a point where Alex Palou has such a lead that even if you do get hot, you gotta count on him having a couple of off days, and he's really not going to do that. We'll talk more about that in just a minute after we hear from Barry Wanzer.
Barry, so far the big question is how's the balance changed between the alternates and the primaries? Have you had a way to figure it out yet?
Certainly the soft tires, the reds have a lot more grip. It appears the track is getting close to the old surface again. It's definitely lost a lot more grip than we had last year.
It seems like you noticed that in mostly in 5 and 6 too, right?
Yeah, you can see, I mean, you see everybody out there struggling for grip. There are a lot of off and ons, a lot of spins, but yeah, it's all about trying to make the most of it right now, making the changes to make it better.
What is it about your driver that has made him so dominant on this circuit?
You know, I don't know. He's just getting better and better every time he's in the car. So, you know, everything on the team is working well. Engineering, his race engineering. We've had some great pit stops too, and you know, it's just allowed us to perform at the highest level, and that's what you need to do in IndyCar.
All the best.
Thanks, appreciate it.
That's Barry Wanzer with us. Let's get back to Mike.
Been a lot of good combos over the years in terms of race strategists and drivers, Davey, but those guys are quickly settling in among the best of all time.
Yeah, oh yeah, and one thing that these other teams are discussing right now is, which is a good thing for all the rest of the teams, going, hey, those guys can make a mistake because they made a strategy mistake, which we never see out of that Ganassi camp, and especially out of that Wanzer Palou camp, and they did strategy a little bit off in Toronto last weekend. A little bit surprising to all of us, but they still had a decent finish, but they could have been in a situation to win that race, I think, and just missed it, and that we don't see that very often, that's for sure.
So back to a couple of points. Let's start first by circling back to the Jay Fry situation.
Yeah.
You know, some guys come in, blow everything up, and start over. Some guys come in, take a year or so to assess what changes need to be made.
Yeah, that's not Jay's style at all, right? He's not going to come up there and just eliminate and just change a lot of things. I mean, he's not the bull in the china cabinet. He's the guy, I think he's going to be very methodical. He's going to learn about he just stands back, evaluates who's doing what, to where their weak points are and where their strong points are. I think he's that guy that just to take it one step at a time, but still trying to do it in a rapid pace. You know, still wants to do it quickly, but I don't think he's going to be in the bull in a china closet by any stretch.
Davey, we are looking at our multi-screen monitor over these past couple of sessions, and when this session is over, maybe take a cruise through the paddock and remind these guys that driving through the dirt and the dust here is not the fast way around this race.
Yeah, the dirt race was last night, and the sprint cars at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, not here at Laguna Seca, but they're definitely giving it a try. And I'll be honest with you, when you go off of this course and the speeds are going and you get in that dirt, you know, obviously traction leaves rapidly, and they're doing a really good job, majority of them, of gathering those cars up and continuing on, because I know it's not easy. Your grip level drops pretty drastically.
Because of that portion leading up to the corkscrew and then out of it, when you get to the end of especially a fuel stint, how busy are you in the cockpit adjusting that brake bias and the weight jacker and things of that nature? Because, I mean, you're going uphill at a pretty pronounced clip, and then you're coming back downhill at a pretty pronounced clip. And, you know, early in a run, you got all that weight shifting toward the back and then toward the front of the car. And then how does this car change when that weight from that fuel especially starts to go away?
Yeah, you know, surprisingly, being that corkscrew, as iconic as it is and as fun as it is, it's not really that difficult as far as handling and getting over that thing. Now, brake bias is important in every road and street course we go to, because you want to be able to brake as hard as you can, as late as you can, without any lockups, with all those tires slowing you down equally from front to rear. And you got to remember, the rear tires, they're being powered by an engine. The front aren't. They're bigger tires at the back than they are at the front. It's not an easy task to make sure that your braking bias is exactly right, and that does change with your fuel load throughout the run. So you do have a brake bias in there. You also have, you know, your anti-roll bars to soften the front of the car or the rear of the car, or vice versa. So you do have some tools in there that you could use, and they will use those tools. But on these road and streets, man, it's really important to get that balance. As Pato said, we're in the window. We unloaded with a really good car. Now we just need to fine-tune it. That's what you want.
Let's hear from Nolan Siegel. Dan Rusanowski has caught up with him after his run.
Well, Nolan, you had an opportunity to get out on the circuit to give it a try and see how it all balanced out. What was your view of the first session today? What are your thoughts?
The track's a little bit odd, different from last year, so figuring it out. We were fast on the primes and fast at the start, made a change at the end that did not work at all. So we're making progress. We're not in a bad spot. I'm sure that we'll get it sorted, but yeah, rolled off fast and kind of got slower through the session, so we'll need to kind of go back and look at that.
You don't have to worry about moisture here, but you do have to worry about dirt and dust flying around a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. It's I think you can see how difficult the conditions are and how difficult the track is right now with how many people are going off and hitting things. So yeah, just a bit of a weird track condition right now. I think once we kind of rubber it in, it's going to continue to get more and more normal. But difficult conditions to start, for sure.
Is that fact making it easier or more difficult to decide what the balance is going to be when you go between the primaries and the alternates?
Yeah, I think more difficult. I have a feeling the track's going to evolve quite a bit, and the kind of balance and overall speed isn't going to be super relevant from today when we go into qualifying tomorrow. So getting the car to a point where it feels good, and then we'll kind of see where we re-baseline tomorrow morning.
Well, we'll definitely know that you'll be there. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Davey, I think that conversation and the way he answered Dan's questions is one of the things that impressed Tony Kanaan going back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I mean, those were some pretty heady answers from a kid that, quite frankly, is speaking wise beyond his years.
Yeah, well, and that's where he is. I mean, he's been able to get very young and really not a lot of experience, just showed a lot of talent, and that's why he is where he is at right now. Now that pressure is on him, and that is sometimes not the best things, because you have to perform. Even that doesn't matter your age or your experience level. Once you get here, it's all about performance. It's not like, okay, in 5 years he's going to be good, because they're not going to wait 5 years for you to be good. You have to get it done right now. So, pressure's definitely on Siegel, no question about it. He's a very intelligent guy. I think he's obviously a big talent. It's just he needs to get some results going for sure.
Top 10 finish for Callum Ilott at Toronto. What are his thoughts and impressions after P1 here at Laguna Seca?
Well, Callum, you have a very good first session, but boy, what an intense debrief. Obviously, you've got a lot to think about. What did you see in your first session, and where do you have to go?
Well, the track's really difficult. I think for a lot of guys, it's impressive, the difference in grip and corners, and even in the middle of the same corners. It's peaking a lot, and trying to find the right balance is tough. I mean, for how difficult the car feels, I think we're on the better side of it compared to some. The pace was quite good. We were P4 in group. But yeah, what an intense track. And it's very different since when we came testing here in, I think, February or January.
So it's not just year to year, it's session to session, is it?
I guess so. It's part of it. It's motor racing. We've got to fine-tune everything. But yeah, not easy.
Well, best of luck to you. I know you're doing a great job so far.
Thank you. I think Will might get another drive-through after watching him cross the green again.
I think so. Callum Ilott with us here. Let's get back to Mark.
Maybe working on a career as a race official moving forward, Davey.
Yeah. Well, everybody watches what everybody else is doing, no question. And I watch these, the Penske organization, as we know, they definitely hadn't had the best season as we watched Will go into turn 11. And we just talked about brake bias, right? And he just locked that right front tire up. Brake bias not quite perfect on that Penske car yet. They have definitely struggled this year, and it seems that they're struggling so far this weekend. I've seen Will go off course. I've seen Newgarden plenty sideways several times, and when he was out on track earlier on. And so definitely still some battles and still some work for that Penske organization.
The red and white curbing that you see pretty prominent around this racetrack, Davey, from all intents and purposes, looking at it, especially when we get a look from the in-car camera's perspective, that's maybe just a boundary marking. It's not the rumble strip type of boundary. It didn't really upset the balance of the race car and almost becomes part of the race course.
It actually is. The majority is rumble strip, actually, but they use it, and especially coming off turn 11, it's very rough. As we just talked about, Newgarden with loose struggles. As I say that, guess what? Red flag's going to come out. He just shot it off out in that sand. The gravel came to a stop, so a red flag's going to be coming out momentarily. But those are actually rumbles there, Mark. I mean, it's they're not
really
smooth by any stretch, and there are some just painted ones, but most of them that you hit, it definitely changes the balance of your car, but it's definitely a shorter way through that corner. And that one there is he just really overdrove the top of the corkscrew in that turn 8. Got it loose. I said, I seen him with the back of that car sliding around earlier on, and he just got on the brakes, the back locked up. He didn't even make it to the left hand of the corkscrew, slides off into the pea gravel, and comes to a stop on the top of the corkscrew.
And it dug in a little bit once he got off in that gravel, Davey, and he tried to put it in gear and get it going again, but no such luck. He's buried in there pretty good to the apex of that turn.
Oh, well, actually, you know what? Going up to that corner and turn 6, he we watched it. Well, yeah, just snapped quick. We watched it. He went off a little bit earlier, and it just, when he got on those brakes, that back end snapped and just swung him around really, really fast. And you're just hanging on. And you're right. He dug it in there. He got the car refired with a hybrid unit, but man, he wasn't going anywhere. Just shot pea gravel all over the inside of that race car's back, all that happened there.
Good session so far for a couple of drivers. Everybody on the alternates. It's a 69.317 for Colton Herta. Felix Rosenquist at a 69.913. Also a 69.987 for Louis Foster, who we find near the top of timing the scoring in a lot of sessions of late. Kiffin Simpson continues a strong run, at least in this session, off his podium finish at Toronto, first one of his career. He's in the 110s at a 110.105. Christian Lundgaard is 5th fastest. 6th is Jacob Abel. 7th is Will Power. 8th is Graham Rahal. 9th, goes to Joseph Newgarden. He had the off, though. That's what halted the proceedings for now. Robert Schwartzman is 10th fastest. Santino Ferrucci, 11th fastest. 12th Dixon, 13th Daly. Let's go to Alex Wolff.
And up at pit out, Colton Herta there is still working feverishly as he looks through the data on the tablet, as they made a turn and a half of front wing adjustment. It also looks like they're working with some strakes on the under tray, trying to work on that as well. So Colton Herta, they are not resting on their laurels during this split session as they continue to tune on the Gainbridge Honda.
We are not done by any stretch at, 35 minutes past the hour. Jake Query will settle in with Davey Hamilton, Dan and Alex Wolff, and have Indy next practice session number 2. Everyone continues to chase Dennis Hauger. They're doing so again today, but Kyle Collette is one of those that appears to have some pace and may challenge him. A busy day tomorrow as 11:30 local time, 8:30 Eastern. Bright and early, IndyCar practice session number 2, and then Indy next quals comes your way at 1 o'clock Eastern time and 10 o'clock local, and then move up to 2:30 and 11:30 respectively, we should say, for knockout qualifying and the Firestone Fast 6. And then it's a doubleheader weekend for the Indy Next presented by Firestone as they go at 4:25 and 1:25 Eastern time. And then on Sunday, we will have an IndyCar warm-up session for you, and then the second Indy Next race, and then wrap up the day with complete coverage of the Java House Grand Prix of Monterey here at Laguna Seca. So a busy race weekend, most assuredly, Davey, and an important one. Let's face it, if anybody's going to catch Dennis Hauger, this is the weekend they're going to do it with a doubleheader.
Yeah, they need this doubleheader just to give it a try, and it's either going to be, they're either going to maybe catch up with him or farther behind. I don't think it's just going to kind of stay even as we see some jackrabbits running around up here in the hills of Laguna Seca and Monterey. running to get out of the way, which is a good idea. Yeah. But doubleheader here, that's really key. We have 19 Indy Next cars. A couple drivers missing out of the field, and I'm not sure why they're not here, but a couple of them missing. Scotto and Papasavas not here this weekend.
Jake Query joins us now, and again, he'll be on the call for the session at the bottom of the hour. Jake, it's been an interesting season for Indy Next by Firestone. You know, every year we're always excited to see, you know, the champions of the series leading up to Indy Next by Firestone, and Lockie Hughes, Dennis Hauger, been a couple of drivers that have come in and made a big splash. That series always has veterans returning for second, and in some instances their third year, but let's face it, it's been a compelling season, and it's been fascinating to see the success that Dennis Hauger and Lockie Hughes have had this year.
Yeah, and just when it looked like it was going to be just that two-car race for the championship, and maybe too late to throw your hat into the ring in terms of the points championship, but in terms of competitive for wins, Kyle Collette, Miles Rowe, both of them have been able to get wins here in 2 of the last 3 races. Hauger winning, of course, at Mid-Ohio, but at Road America, it's Kyle Collette. Iowa Speedway, Miles Rowe becomes the first African-American in that series to get a win, so a historic win coming in the last outing for the Indy Next presented by Firestone. So a lot of fun to watch here as we will see what happens in the practice session. Josh Pearson was another one that had some speed earlier, Mark. We'll see if that translates over in just a couple of minutes from now for practice number 2.
Pearson's had a pretty good second half of the season, no doubt about it. The one-time lap for these teams and drivers, Davey, but not everybody taking advantage of it. Some are happy with what they've accomplished, but Colton Herta is one that is going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, so what happens is, you know, they look at the data, kind of do a little debrief, and some of them are going, hey, I just want this small little change and just try it. Let's just try this small little thing. The other ones are trying to probably reevaluate exactly what they need to do before they go back out. And I think Colton Herta will be the only one. Yeah, time's out. It's going to be checkered flag for Rosenquist coming by the line now.
Third fastest in this session, deciding not to take advantage of that extra lap, is Louis Foster. Dan Rusanowski.
Louis, why not the extra lap? I guess the third best is quick enough.
Well, no, we got the most out of our red tires. We got lucky and we did the most of our reds there before the red came out. So I was boxing anyway, and then the red came out, so yeah.
Everybody is saying that this circuit is changing, maybe even from session to session. If you tested here earlier, it's totally different. How do you see the way that the track is developing?
Yeah, I think it's obviously this track got resurfaced, what, 3 years ago now, 2 years ago? And every time we come back, it just gets slipperier and slipperier and slipperier. That's just how resurfaces work, right? They lose grip over time. It's definitely slippery out there right now. There's some patches of pavement where they've obviously fixed some tarmac in places, and that's made it quite tricky to drive. But yeah, we're figuring it out.
Well, you were dominant here in Indy Next last time you were here, but how do you feel overall, how comfortable you are driving the car you're in now?
Yeah, we've only had one session, but yeah, I mean, I tested here back in November now. That was a good test, and you know, the car rolled off pretty well. We just got more things to work on, but the boys at Ray Hall Let's Mananigan Racing have been great. Obviously, we've got the drop light on board as well for the rest of the season, and they've been pushing us hard to get some good results, and it's there, it's coming. I mean, obviously, we got a pole at Road America recently, and you know, street circuits, road courses, sorry, we've been quite fast at, so hopefully we can convert that.
Good luck.
Cool, thank you.
Andretti hairpin, as we mentioned, Davey, the Ray Hall Straight, the Corkscrew, and the Rainy Curve. Maybe we should add Zanardi Boulevard, because that's what Scott Dixon just went through.
Yeah, he just found out exactly that. Locked those tires up top of that Corkscrew, and as he came down, he took that Alexander Zanardi line and got off course. Was able to bring it back on, but definitely not good for a time lap.
Again, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 local time for the next IndyCar practice session. That'll be bright and early tomorrow morning to kick off a full day of coverage. We are not done. In just a few minutes, we will have Jake Query and company along as we get ready for Indy Next practice session number 2. For the whole game, this is Mark Jane saying so long for now from the Java House Grand Prix of Monterey.
Well, for Indy Radio, they may be done. Well, for Indy Radio, they may not. For Indy Radio, they may not be done. It is 11:30. Give me a break. I wasn't meant to be on this broadcast. Thank you. But here on JB Motorsports, we are done, and you can join us tomorrow for free practice 2 and qualifying when the NTT IndyCar Series returns.